This is bigger than that one seat. This is about undermining the integrity of our elections. And what was done there is so remarkable, and that person, those entities got away with that, even to the detriment of the Republicans in the primary.
The likely next Speaker of the House is speaking out against the voter fraud that has disrupted the election in North Carolina's 9th congressional district. Once Democrats take control of the House in a couple of weeks, they say voting rights will be among the issues addressed in their very first bill of 2019. My next guest says voter suppression is the name of the Republicans' game, and she's not having it.
Breaking news. What Donald Trump did this weekend may have just ended his presidency. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not being dramatic. I'm telling you exactly what is happening right now in Washington. Because on January 3rd, 2026, Donald Trump launched a full-scale military strike on Venezuela without telling Congress, without getting approval, without following the Constitution. And now, members of his own party are turning on him. Democrats are calling for impeachment. Some are even invoking the 25th Amendment. And Trump is posting on Truth Social like a man watching his entire world collapse. Let that satisfy in for a moment. A sitting president just bombed the capital of a sovereign nation, captured its leader, and declared that America will, quote, run the country. And he did all of this without a single vote from Congress, without a single briefing to lawmakers. House Foreign Affairs Committee Ranking Member Greg Meeks said he received, quote, absolutely no briefing or heads up. He found out from the news. The news. That is how members of Congress learned that the United States had just invaded Venezuela. Let's be honest for a second. You cannot trust mainstream media to tell you the full story of what's happening right now. They will sanitize it. They will both sides it. They will bury the lead. That's why channels like this exist, to cut through the noise and tell you what's actually going on. If you want to stay ahead of this story, subscribe right now and hit that notification bell, because this is moving fast and you do not want to miss what comes next. Now let me walk you through exactly what happened. At approximately 2 a.m. local time on January 3rd, 2026, the United States military launched Operation Absolute Resolve. Over 150 aircraft took off from 20 bases across the Western Hemisphere. They bombed military sites across northern Venezuela. They struck infrastructure around Caracas. They hit telecommunications antennas. They damaged civilian buildings. At least 40 people are dead. A 3-story apartment complex in Cutia La Mar was destroyed. A Colombian citizen was killed in El Hatillo. Families are still cleaning up debris from their destroyed homes. And while all of this was happening, while bombs were falling and people were dying, Donald Trump was sitting at Mar-a-Lago watching it unfold like a movie. The target was Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. U.S. forces captured him and his wife Cilia Flores at their home inside Fuerte Tiuna, Venezuela's largest military complex. They flew them to Guantanamo Bay, then to New York. Maduro is now sitting in the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn facing charges of narco-terrorism and drug trafficking. The White House even posted a video of him being walked through the DEA's New York office in handcuffs with the caption, quote, "Perp walked." Here's why this matters to you personally. This wasn't a surgical arrest operation. This was a full-scale military invasion of a sovereign country. And Trump did it without asking Congress, without following the War Powers Resolution, without any legal authority whatsoever. If a president can bomb another country, kill civilians, capture a foreign leader, and declare he's going to run that country, all without a single check from any other branch of government, then what exactly can't he do? What's stopping him from doing this to Colombia, to Cuba, to Greenland? He's already threatened all three. This isn't about Venezuela. This is about whether the Constitution still means anything. And the reaction from Congress has been explosive. Representative Delia Ramirez, a member of the squad, posted on social media, quote, "Trump and his administration have lied, consolidated power, and committed war crimes to seize Venezuelan oil and pursue regime change. Trump must be impeached." That's not a pundit saying that. That's a sitting member of Congress. Representative Dan Goldman called it, quote, "a violation of the United States Constitution," and said it is an impeachable offense. Representative Maxine Waters, who has been cautious about impeachment, said, quote, "I am reconsidering that view." Representative Jared Huffman went even further. He told Axios, quote, "We are in 25th Amendment territory now." The 25th Amendment. That's the mechanism that allows the cabinet to remove a president who is unfit to serve. A sitting congressman just said publicly that we have reached that point. Believe me when I tell you this is not normal political theater. This is not Democrats doing what Democrats do. This is institutional alarm. This is lawmakers watching a president act like a dictator and responding with the only tools the Constitution gives them. Representative April McClain Delaney released a statement saying, quote, "I now believe that our Democratic caucus must imminently consider impeachment proceedings." She called Trump's actions, quote, "impeachable offenses in their own right," and said the cumulative impact puts everything in a new light. And here's the part that should terrify Trump. It's not just Democrats. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, one of Trump's most loyal defenders, criticized the operation. She posted a lengthy statement on social media questioning why the administration targeted Venezuela instead of Mexican cartels. She said, quote, "Americans' disgust with our own government's never-ending military aggression is justified." Thomas Massie, another Republican, posted, quote, "If this action were constitutionally sound, the Attorney General wouldn't be tweeting that they've arrested the president of a sovereign country." When Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie are breaking with Trump, something fundamental has cracked. Let me pause here for a second. Just pause. This is not politics as usual. This is a constitutional crisis unfolding in real time. A president launched an undeclared war. Members of both parties are calling it illegal. Impeachment is being openly discussed. The 25th Amendment is being invoked. And we are only 9 days into January. This is serious. Now let's talk about Trump's response. Because his behavior since the strike tells you everything you need to know about his mental state. On Sunday evening, Trump posted on Truth Social a fake image of a Wikipedia page labeling him as the, quote, "acting president of Venezuela." He's literally joking about being a dictator. He's posting memes about running a foreign country while lawmakers are debating whether to remove him from office. This is not the behavior of a stable leader. This is the behavior of someone who has lost touch with reality. At his press conference at Mar-a-Lago, Trump declared that the United States is going to, quote, "run Venezuela until a proper transition can take place." He said America would spend billions rebuilding Venezuela's oil infrastructure. He said, quote, "We're not afraid of boots on the ground." Boots on the ground. In Venezuela. Without congressional approval. Without a declaration of war. Without any legal basis. He's talking about a military occupation of a foreign country like it's a business deal. And he's doing it while his own party is splintering. Here's why this matters to your wallet. Trump isn't hiding what this is about. It's about oil. At that same press conference, surrounded by oil executives at the White House, Trump talked openly about seizing Venezuela's oil reserves. Senator Chris Van Hollen said it plainly. Quote, "This from the beginning has been about getting rid of Maduro, grabbing Venezuela's oil for American oil companies and Trump's billionaire buddies. That's what this is about. Your tax dollars are funding a military operation designed to enrich oil executives. The same executives who donated to Trump's campaign. The same executives who were promised tax breaks and regulatory favors. You're paying for their profits with your money and potentially with American lives. The legal experts are unanimous. This was illegal. The New York City Bar Association released a statement saying Trump's actions violate Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution, which gives Congress the exclusive power to declare war. They said it violates the War Powers Resolution. They called the administration's claim that this was a law enforcement action, quote, "a pretense to carry out an unlawful regime change." International law experts at Chatham House called it a significant violation of Venezuelan sovereignty and the UN Charter. Yale law professor Una Hathaway told The New Yorker that the self-defense argument, quote, "really doesn't work under international law." And the Senate is already moving. On January 8th, just 5 days after the strike, the Senate voted 52 to 47 to advance a War Powers Resolution blocking Trump from further military action in Venezuela. 5 Republicans joined every single Democrat. Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, Rand Paul, Josh Hawley, Todd Young. These aren't liberal Republicans. These are conservatives who looked at what Trump did and said no. Senator Tim Kaine, who introduced the resolution, said, quote, "The indication from the administration is that this is not a few days or a few weeks. It's likely a few years of U.S. occupation. Years. We could be occupying Venezuela for years." And Congress was never asked. Trump's response to the Senate vote was predictable. He posted on Truth Social that it, quote, greatly hampers American self-defense and national security. He called the War Powers Act unconstitutional. He attacked the Republican senators who voted against him. He's lashing out at everyone. At Democrats. At his own party. At the Constitution itself. This is what desperation looks like. Let me tell you what happens next. Because the machinery is already in motion. Representative Ilhan Omar has a War Powers resolution in the House aimed at blocking further military action. Impeachment articles already exist. H.Res. 353 was introduced back in April 2025 with multiple articles including abuse of power, obstruction of justice, and tyranny. That resolution is sitting there waiting. All it takes is for Democratic leadership to decide the time has come. And every day, more voices are joining the call. The international community is watching in horror. Legal scholars across the globe are calling this a violation of the UN Charter. America's allies are quietly asking whether we can be trusted. Our adversaries are taking notes. If the United States can invade Venezuela without consequences, what's stopping Russia from claiming the same authority? What's stopping China? Trump didn't just violate the Constitution. He shattered the international order that America built. Here's the truth that Washington doesn't want to say out loud. Trump is not going to stop. He's already threatening Greenland. He said, quote, we are going to do something on Greenland whether they like it or not. He's threatened Colombia. He's threatened Cuba. He said the remaining leaders of those tyrannies' days are counted. This is not a president respecting limits. This is a president who believes he has no limits. And unless Congress acts, he will keep going. If you believe in the Constitution, if you believe in congressional oversight, if you believe that no president should be able to bomb foreign countries and seize their resources without any accountability, then you need to make your voice heard. Call your representative. Call your senator. Tell them that impeachment is not just an option, it's an obligation. Share this video with everyone you know, because the only way this stops is if enough people demand that it stops. I'm going to be tracking this story every single day. The Senate vote was just the beginning. The impeachment calls are growing louder. The evidence is piling up, and Trump is spiraling. Subscribe to this channel so you don't miss a single update. Hit the like button if this video opened your eyes, and drop a comment telling me what you think should happen next. Because here's the bottom line. What Trump did in Venezuela wasn't just reckless. It wasn't just illegal. It was the action of a man who believes he is above the law, above the Constitution, above the will of the American people. And if we let him get away with it, if we stay silent, if we look the other way, then we are telling every future president that they can do the same. That the Constitution is just a piece of paper. That Congress is just a formality. That America is no longer a democracy, but a monarchy with a 4-year term. That's the choice we face right now. That's what's at stake. And that's why this moment matters more than any political controversy in recent memory. Impeachment isn't about politics. It's about whether the rule of law still exists. And right now, that question is being answered in real time. Stay vigilant. Stay informed. And whatever you do, don't look away. Because what happens in the next few weeks will determine the future of this country. And I promise you, I will be here every step of the way, telling you the truth, no matter how ugly it gets. This is far from over. In fact, it's just beginning. And let me tell you something else that the mainstream media is not covering. The timing of this attack was not coincidental. Trump's approval ratings have been in the toilet. The Epstein file scandal is growing. The economy is struggling. Senator Scott Wiener said it directly. Quote, Trump is a total failure with his polling numbers in the toilet and the Epstein scandal growing. This reckless and illegal invasion of Venezuela is designed to distract the public. That's what this is. A distraction. A wag the dog moment. Trump bombed a foreign country to change the news cycle. And it worked. For about 48 hours, nobody was talking about Epstein. Nobody was talking about the economy. Everybody was talking about Venezuela. But the distraction is wearing off. And now the consequences are catching up to him. Think about what this means for your family's future. Trump has now established a precedent that a president can launch military strikes anywhere in the world without asking permission. He can capture foreign leaders. He can occupy countries. He can seize natural resources, all without a single vote from Congress. What happens when the next president, Democrat or Republican, decides to use that precedent? What happens when they decide to invade somewhere else? To bomb someone else? To occupy another country because they don't like its leader? This isn't about Trump anymore. This is about what kind of country we want to live in. Do we want to live in a country where one person has unlimited military power? Or do we want to live in a democracy where the people, through their elected representatives, have a say in whether we go to war? The founders were explicit about this. They gave Congress the power to declare war specifically because they didn't want one person making that decision. They had just fought a revolution against a king who could wage war whenever he wanted. They designed a system of checks and balances precisely to prevent what Trump just did. And now Trump is treating that system like it doesn't exist. He's treating Congress like a rubber stamp. He's treating the Constitution like a suggestion. Representative Gil Cisneros said it best. Quote, "The president has lost his mind." That's a sitting member of Congress saying the president has lost his mind. And honestly, look at the evidence. Trump is posting fake Wikipedia pages calling himself the acting president of Venezuela. He's threatening to invade Greenland. He's threatening Colombia and Cuba. He pardoned a Honduran president who was convicted of drug trafficking while claiming to care about drugs coming from Venezuela. The contradictions don't even make sense anymore. If Trump cared about drugs, why did he pardon one Orlando Hernandez, who was sentenced to 45 years in prison for trafficking cocaine into the United States? Why is he cozying up to drug traffickers while bombing Venezuela? The answer is obvious. This was never about drugs. This was always about oil, about power, about distraction. And here's what's happening behind the scenes that you need to know about. The Gang of Eight, the top congressional leaders who are supposed to receive briefings on sensitive operations, were not notified before the strike began. Multiple sources confirmed to ABC News that the Department of Defense only notified congressional staff after the operation had already started. Secretary of State Marco Rubio tried to defend this by saying it was a, quote, trigger-based mission that couldn't be disclosed. But that's not how the law works. The War Powers Resolution requires notification within 48 hours. It requires consultation. It requires a path to congressional approval. None of that happened. Trump just did it. And now he's daring anyone to stop him. Some Republicans are trying to defend him. They're saying Maduro was a bad guy. And yes, Maduro was a dictator. Yes, he was accused of drug trafficking. But that doesn't give the president the right to invade a country without congressional approval. That's not how America works. Or at least, that's not how America is supposed to work. If we allow presidents to bomb anyone they declare a bad guy, we have abandoned every principle this country was founded on. We have become the thing we fought against. The protests are already starting. In New York City, hundreds of people gathered in Times Square chanting, quote, "Hands off Venezuela." In cities across the country, people are demanding accountability. In Venezuela itself, pro-Maduro supporters are protesting what they call a kidnapping. The Venezuelan Vice President Delcy Rodriguez has been sworn in as interim leader and is calling for Maduro's release. She called it a kidnapping by an empire. And honestly, from the outside looking in, what would you call it? American forces bombed a capital city, captured a president in his home, flew him to another country, and threw him in prison. In any other context, we would call that an act of war. We would call that a violation of sovereignty. We would call that exactly what it is, an invasion. But here's the thing. Trump doesn't care what the world thinks. He doesn't care what international law says. He doesn't care what the Constitution requires. He only cares about one thing: himself, his ego, his power, his ability to do whatever he wants whenever he wants to whoever he wants. And that's why impeachment isn't just an option. It's the only option. Because a president who believes he has no limits will keep pushing until someone stops him. I want you to think about something. Trump warned Republicans at a retreat that if they lose the midterms, Democrats will impeach him again. He said it himself. Quote, "If we don't win the midterms, I'll get impeached." He knows what he's doing is impeachable. He's just betting that Republicans will protect him. He's betting that his base will keep them in line. He's betting that enough Americans will look the other way. And so far, he's been right. But the Venezuela strike might be different. Because this time, Republicans are breaking ranks. This time, 5 Republican senators voted against him. This time, even his most loyal defenders are questioning him. The question now is whether enough people will demand accountability, whether enough voices will rise up and say no more, whether Congress will fulfill its constitutional duty, or whether they will let Trump get away with it again. I don't know the answer, but I know this. If we stay silent, silence will be taken as consent. If we do nothing, nothing will change. And if we let this slide, the next violation will be worse. So here's what I'm asking you to do. Share this video everywhere. Post it on social media. Send it to your friends and family. Make sure everyone understands what just happened and what's at stake. Then call your representatives. Tell them you want accountability. Tell them you want impeachment. Tell them the Constitution matters. Tell them democracy matters. Tell them you're watching. Because the truth is, politicians respond to pressure. When enough people demand action, action happens. When enough voices rise up, change occurs. We have seen it before. We can see it again, but only if we make it happen. The next few weeks will determine whether America remains a constitutional republic or whether we slide into something darker. Whether the rule of law still applies to presidents or whether one man can do whatever he wants. Whether we the people still have a voice or whether we've already lost it. I refuse to accept that we've lost. I refuse to believe that this is how the American experiment ends. And I refuse to stop fighting for the country I believe in. Join me. Subscribe. Share. Speak up. And don't you dare look away. Because history is watching. And so is the world.